All right, so I'm using my old format, DXY. Look at this. We've come all the way down. We've been in the 99s Friday morning. Now that's crazy. We're probably going to close above 100, but the damage is totally done. And we might even bounce next week, but this is wild. DXY all the way back down to 100. Let's see what happens during the day, but that's been reflected with gold going up above 3,200 in US dollars. It's amazing. Let's look at the markets. So DXY is very relevant again. Markets, S&P, we had that insane, short covering rally, did more than gap fill. Then Thursday makes sense. We retraced a bit, quite a bit. Let's see what happens today. I think today is very important. Do we go back down or do we sort of go sideways? There's quite a few days to go sideways before you can break out of this descending. I actually reckon we're going to go back down because the bond market is really weak. For me, the most important thing to watch is the bond market. And I think that if that flushes, that takes out the banks and the Russell, which I'll get to in a second. But DXY is really concerning also with the bond. I mean, it's good for us. Gold goes up, but that's special. That the fact that it's hit 100. So we've got financial crisis things going on in the background, even though everyone thinks it's chilled now. The tariffs are paused, but they're only paused for, the countries that reacted. This China trade war is still on. So, all right. So markets still too early to determine. I think we're going to go back down if we get this financial crisis through the bond market collapsing, which I'll show you in a second. But just before I do that, look at the Russell, right? Which is more an indication of the real economy. It's small business. And with yields going up, which happens when the bond market goes down, that is going to put serious pressure on the Russell, which will lead the way, in my opinion, lead the markets down, which is kind of old school, right? That's what was happening all the way back here before we had the flush, before we had this big rise. I mean, if you look at this part over here, let's say like November 2023, look at the S&P. Where were we there? November 2023, we were all the way down here, right? Then we rallied and did new all-time highs, boom, boom, boom. The European markets had already done it before the US market. I remember that, but we're here on the Russell. So the S&P can do a lot of catching up if the Russell breaks down. And I think banks, KIE, the small regional banks, they will start to collapse whilst yields go up along with the Russell. So for me, the bond market going down, therefore yields going up, will take down the banks first and the Russell with it. And then that will, have knock-on effects on the S&P and everything. So bit different to what I would typically say, but let's look at yield. Normally I look at yields and look at the 30. Look at this. We're hitting all-time highs like any day. If we start to crack this 5% close above it, the next day we're above 5.1. And that's the crisis moment all the way over here. The 10-year, a little further off, but same thing. That's probably more important than the 30. And then on the other end of the yield curve, it's nowhere near as elevated. So you got this yield curve thing. But I just look at TLT. This is one of the ETFs everyone goes to for bonds. This thing starts to collapse. I mean, it has. Start to close above 80, close below 85. Next week, we're flushing and making new lows. So bonds, I think, might be the most important instrument to look at. I mean, we don't really care too much. We're looking at gold and the miners, but this, I think everyone else is looking at, but I'm also paying attention to. So bonds and the dollar and also the Russell and the banks. That's really what I wanted to mention today before going to the usual suspects. Look at gold. Bam, new all-time high close at high of day Thursday. Today, I know it's early, but look at that, right through 3,200. Silver, gold I don't even need to cover. Gold is just new all-time highs. If we come back down, it's the ascending, yeah? And it's going to be super strong now that we made new highs. So, down here, something would be your new support, but we're far from coming down, really. I think that's, especially with the dollar where it is. I think when the dollar bounces, I think we'll have a small bounce next week. Let's see what happens today, but then gold will come down. But I don't even think it will come down to where I mentioned. It's just going to be a buy the dip. I think the whole world's going to buy the gold dip if it even dips. Silver, not as strong. It's the standard routine. It wants to go up with gold, but market weakness sort of prevents it. So it's such a shame because we should be at 40, 50, even higher if we really were, way higher if we were really tracking gold. But that's also why I'm looking at bonds and the Russell and the banks, because if that takes down the market, then everything kind of goes down. You would think commodities also go down, but that's kind of a mixed bag now. You know, you'll see oil down with the markets, but copper, which should go down with the markets, doesn't, right? It's like silver. It kind of wants to go up with gold. It was up yesterday despite the red candle. You know, it was a massive move up from the day before. So copper, like the metals are going up and the other commodities are not going up as much. So that's also interesting. But yeah, silver last thing. I mean, I don't really need to look at support on silver yet, but if the market starts to come down, we can start looking at support, which to me will be very strong around here. The old support, actually, I'll leave it where it is. So just around 29, maybe below. But then underneath that, you've got this super strong ascending. So silver should be real strong if we start to go down with the markets. But that's not going to happen today, right? Even the market's not going to make new lows, but unless you're looking at bonds and the Russell. So and then we look at the miners. So the miners, are they going to be like gold? Are they going to be like gold? Are they going to be like silver? Well, they are more like gold, which is good. So let's look at GDX, which really follows gold more. We took out resistance. Now, me, by the way, I was trimming this area here. I trimmed it on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday a little bit, and then I trimmed again. I thought that we would go down with the markets because that was the squeeze, right? That Wednesday was the squeeze day, and I thought Thursday we're going to go down. The market has to retrace, which it did, but the miners were following the metals, which is kind of the best situation. We go up, and let's be honest, the gold, silver to some extent, but gold and the miners have been going up whilst everything else goes down. There might be one or two little, what do they say, utilities and all these defensive, the VIX goes up, but really it's gold and the miners. And traditionally, you would say bonds, I would say bonds, the dollar, VIX, and maybe gold go up in chaos. But then I would say, nah, they would sell gold, obviously the miners. They'd even sell gold when it gets really crazy. And the only thing that really goes up is the dollar and bonds. Well, no, the the dollar and bonds, which really go up in absolute chaos and everything else goes down, those have been going down like crazy. And the only thing that's been going up is gold and the miners. It's really rare. It's amazing. I'm just a bit annoyed, even though the portfolio is really high. I'm not at all-time highs in my portfolio, even though the GDX is. And that's because I've trimmed, I don't want to say too much, but I've trimmed here and also some of the blue chips I hold. I've been buying some Google, some Tesla. That's also gone down, which I'm happy because I'm nowhere near full allocation. So I really don't mind them going down. But it's a little annoying, and maybe some of you guys are in the same situation where the miners have made new all-time highs and gold. Obviously, we've had that for a long time, but the portfolio is not all-time highs. But it's cool. I know why I trimmed. I still think that if I don't want to say when, yeah, I'll say when the markets go all the way back down and make new lows, that should have an effect on GDX. It should take it down if it gets crazy. And I hope it does because I need to buy back. Like my weighting the miners is light. It's light, and normally I wish it'd be heavy right now, but we're at all-time high. So anyway, GDX, where's the next level? You have to zoom out. Even I haven't got the level in. I don't have the level. I guess it's 50, isn't it? Big round number. But actually, if I look all the way over here, it's not. GDX, if it goes crazy, and it can because things are crazy, especially gold and the dollar, if we flush the DXY and start going into the low 90s, for example, I'm looking more than 50. I'm looking at 54 on the GDX. Whoa, that's nice. That's a big move. So I'm gonna leave it like that for now. I'm not gonna add more lines. There's no way it's gonna go all the way there in one go, but that's a big move. So GDX 54, GDXJ, that also basically made new highs. It's got a little resistance there. 60, yeah, that's a big round number. We're just going to go higher. I don't even need to put the lines in. We're just going to go higher. And if we start to take out 60, it'll be 62. GDXJ is a bit easier to read. More likely we stop off there. SIL that's okay. That's because of silver. Honestly, I'm not going to complicate it. Next level is the old high all the way at 13. We probably stop off here, 12.50, 13. So I'll just make that little note. And finally, SIL, which is the senior version. Yeah, that still also hasn't hit its 41-ish zone. It's got to go up there. Silver needs to follow gold for that. But again, it will be dragged down by the markets. Let's look at the portfolio. Newmont done exactly what it should. Hit the resistance. I removed my sells. Yesterday when I saw it going up, I was like, all right, I'm selling too much. We're making new highs. Maybe this is the beginning of the trend, like markets down, miners up. The combination I've always wanted, don't sell into it now. It's the beginning. You've sold enough, hold, wait for the bigger move. So I would have sold here, but I removed my sells. Or did I sell a little bit and then remove some? I think I still sold some, though, like some good till cancels that got hit yesterday. But yeah, there you go. Newmont. Next resistance is all the way over here. I'm leaving that. That's for the big move up with the GDX that we can see is coming. Barrick, which is quite strong a few weeks ago, still hasn't taken out its old high, just under 20. So I'm looking for that little 1980 close above, and then next week, boom, it'll go all the way up to 21. That will be the bigger move. Agnico Eagle, which I saw pre-market up 5% again, like 115 or something. This is gone. I've sold, I've nibbled out of Agnico. It's still my heaviest holding. I'm just leaving it. Like there's no resistance, and it makes so much money with the margin. It's all in sustaining cost that if gold goes up, like it's been doing now, Agnico Eagle starts to really go up a lot now. Big percentage moves. I'm leaving it. This is like I'm not selling this for a while. If we go down, I'm buying the dip and I'll recreate the chart for that. Pan American Silver. It's a shame I'd want this one a bit higher. I'd expect a bit higher because it's the big senior silver one. That needs to go all the way up here to kind of match SIL, the chart of SIL. I'm leaving that. I'm not selling that one anymore. I basically removed all my sells from all my miners. I did that late last night before going to sleep. I just said, all right, cancel it all. We've sold what we need to on this move up. There, it's super strong. We've got something new going on, and we could have the miners continue. Wheaton, next stop there. I'm not saying I'm selling. I already sold 79.99 all the way over here anyway, so next sell would have been there, but I've removed all my sells. Then we make new highs and start to act like a Knico. Franco Nevada. Amazing. Finally. That, yeah, that's your next resistance. And then after that will be all the way up here, 170. Then it's new all-time highs, new all-time history highs. Can you imagine? Even Metalla cells have been removed. This one I trimmed yesterday. If I'm going to sell anything, it's going to be Metalla, right? So just before this kind of resistance and also the descending trimmed. If we go up, actually this one I'll make an exception. I'll be selling probably here at 340. And I'll always be trimming like 5%. You can sell 5% infinity, 5 or 10%, like trim, trim, trim. And maybe this one will finally crack and hold a close above $4 if this new reality emerges where gold and miners just go up as the markets go down and hardly retrace, let's say. The silver stocks, okay, but like Pan American Silver, way, way below their old highs. So First Majestic, you really expect it like at least all the way in the mid sevens by now. So here are your levels. Now for the silver, the medium mid-tier silver stocks, I've trimmed them also. I've trimmed everything the last few days. They're not worth as much as they used to, obviously. And I'm just wondering, not whether to buy back kind of where I've sold, but I'm I'm hesitating where to sell. Like I don't think I would sell this. Well, I've removed all my sells, but I may replace them if things go crazy. But I want to give it room now because if silver starts to move up, if the silver miners start to move up, it means gold is really going crazy or silver starting to catch up. All the markets are just all of a sudden going up, which I can't imagine right now. But if the markets go up, then silver will catch up quickly. And I wonder if gold will go down if the markets go up. But silver will probably go up with the markets. Anyway, I'm giving it some room. So I don't know if I would trim here. Again, I've removed all my cells. So for me, this is no longer a level. It's all the way up here. That's your first level. The next one's there. Fortuna, I'm not even looking at support because I haven't got any buys in and I don't expect. Well, no, if them, I'll revisit support. Let's say on the weekend or Monday if things start to go back down, which I think the market will do. So Fortuna is special. Look at that all the way over here. Next stop there It should do it today if the holds gain in the metal. And then we start looking finally at sevens in Fortuna. 720, so 719 sell maybe. So yeah, 650 and then 720. Amazing. Fortuna, if any silver stock will do it, it's probably Fortuna that will start it off. CDE, it's okay. All the way down. Yeah, five sort of 570 maybe is your resistance for now. Maybe it's more 570. Next up, six, big round number, the descending, also this horizontal price support. Yeah, and if you start to crack and hold above six, it'll be 680. So one and two. Actually, technically, you could say 580 is your first level, but I'm looking at six and 680. Give them room. We have special days ahead of us. Heckler, 560 is resistance. After that, $6, maybe 620 is something. And then finally 640, quite a few little levels to crack before you can start squeezing back to old highs all the way over here. Quite a few levels, right? Boom, 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 boom. So Heckler's a long way away from like many of the mid-tier silver stocks. So you can really see this sort of difference between the silver and the gold in general. So EXK, another one, very similar. Next stop, $4. After that, maybe not. I'm not sure about 430. After that, maybe 460. Give them room when in doubt in this kind of situation. The gold stocks have already shown you what's possible and they'll probably catch up. I would just do that. 460, and then sort of 510. So quite a few levels again. Mag Silver, which has been pretty weak after its news. I think that's more of a resistance. 1420. Look at the high of day and the close. This is probably too close. Next level would be 1550, straight through 15. I don't think 15 is really a level. So next stop, since we're kind of at this level, 1550, then 17, which again, you'd need silver to start acting crazy and following gold. Then, and you can see like here now is another gold stock, more than silver. Aris Mining closed at its old 52-week resistance. Next stop is all the way over here at 620. I think it's shown that it can do crazy moves. If gold starts to act crazy and the GDX in particular starts to run, as I showed, then up we go to 620. That's going to be a wild percentage move. I am gold, another gold stock, new highs. It basically tested, I would say, its resistance between 7 and 720. If we take out 720, I don't even have lines for these things. Then we're going to go all the way up here, probably 880. It's time to start looking big and zoom out a bit less here. You can see this kind of level here. See what I mean? It was support there, kind of hit it there. Plus a move from 7 all the way to 10, whatever, is a bit too big. You need something in between. So $9, big round number, that'll do it. That's crazy. I'm gold. Amazing. B2 gold, okay, nowhere near as sort of impressive in terms of new 52-week highs, but you can see for me next stop, I don't know, it's 330. I'll make an average between 325 and 335 there-ish, plus minus 10%, 10 cents. Yeah, this actually was one of my levels, no? I think I trimmed this yesterday. No, I trimmed it at 304 yesterday and then it went higher towards the close. I'll leave this here, whatever. But really, I'm looking for 350. Again, I want bigger moves now. So I'll mark the resistance, but it doesn't mean I'm going to sell it. Plus, I've removed all my sells. Equinox, yeah, that's kind of your support resistance around 670, 665. Next stop, old highs of 720. Then we start to make new highs. I've got another resistance here. Yeah. But if we crack that and start to run, it's probably crazy stuff. So the bigger move is more interesting. And finally, SBSW, which is a bit like the silver, copper, multi-metal. I call it multi-metal. I like that. Not really a pure gold or silver play. So this one is going to be weaker. So if the market goes down, this one will go down. I think, and that's it, by the way. I think it's interesting. And do you do this, as the gold stocks make new highs? I'm not all in. In fact, I've got a lot on the sidelines now, but do you sell your gold stocks and go into the silver stocks? I don't do that. I've got enough money to add to the silver stocks as it is, but I just feel like the senior gold stocks, the Newmonts, well, not so much Newmont and Barrick because they've not really impressed as of late, but the Agnico Eagles, the Wheaton, you could say Franco Nevadas, like the real senior gold stocks, they're they've done really well and they're going to continue to do well. So don't sell winners. Just for me, I'm holding. I'm not trimming anymore. This is amazing, but I really want to buy the dip. I want to add to them on the dip, and we'll get the dip. I think if the market really collapses, I think there will be that point where everything gets sold. You know, those days where it's like minus 11% everywhere and your portfolio is hit hard. And these will get hit too, but then they'll be bought on the dip. So really, really interesting, nice times. Portfolio should be at all-time highs or just below, like mine. And I love it. It's great because if the market goes down, you can buy these blue chips real cheap whilst your seniors go up. And who knows, you could even buy silver stocks extra cheap too, because I think silver stocks will go down with the markets. All right, that's my take. But special little attention to bonds, the dollar, and the banks and the Russell. That is what I'm looking at, which I don't usually look at now because I think it's very interesting and there's some stuff under the surface. Good luck and congratulations.